Hi, Elle here, and welcome to Living Pressure Free with Elle. I'm the creator of the Pressure Free Method, which helps you stay calm, confident, and in control at all times, in all situations. So there is a situation that some people are finding themselves in these days that has to do with politics. And so one of my followers here on on Facebook asked if I would share some ideas of mine for how do you deal in this particular climate when there seems to be so much political anxiety. People are losing friendships over politics. If people have really strong convictions, and you have different convictions, there seems to be no common ground. And maybe you're feeling some of this. If you're feeling some of this, give me some likes, hearts if you're watching on the replay. And also, I respect if you don't want to like or heart or comment at all, because politics is something that personally I feel is very private. I never knew, and to this day, I never knew how my parents voted. They believed that that was a very private thing. I don't think they knew how each other voted. They certainly had their causes, their beliefs, and you understood what their values were and what they did in the community. They were leaders in their community. But I never knew how they voted. They never told me. And so I come from New Hampshire, where many people are independent. I'm an independent voter. I vote on issues and I also vote on people. But I have run into some interesting things in the past two elections. I had a client who shared with me, she was a teenager, that she had an instructor say that if anyone in the room didn't share her political values, they could never get an A in the class. And I thought that that was probably not legal, but really amazing. I'd never encountered someone forcing their ideas so strongly on another person. So I totally understand the importance of people's values, that you hold your values, that these are important to you. But I also, more importantly, care about people's relationships and friendships. And so here are some tips. I'm going to do my best here because I know it's hard. I've seen it like being played out all over the place. So the first is, if someone pushes one of your hot buttons, hits on something that's of value to you, and they're on the opposite side of whatever this value or emotional thing is, it starts with you not triggering fight or flight. Because if you trigger fight or flight, you're going to create an aggression, and that's going to definitely affect your friendship. So you want to make sure that you're staying in control of your emotions, that you're not overreacting to what's being said. The other thing I would encourage you to do is if there's a topic that's getting heated, ask the question, what would your solution be? How would you solve this? Like, what solutions do you see? Open toward solution always. But keep yourself free of triggering fight or flight. When we trigger fight or flight, that's when we say things and do things we later regret. That's when friendships really go south. And so that would be the very first thing I would share with you. I'd keep my abs very relaxed. I'd also make sure that I'm not rehearsing. This is a huge tip for not just this particular topic, but really anytime you feel yourself starting to rehearse instead of actually listen to the other person. If you're rehearsing what you want to say next instead of listening, they're going to feel that. And that's going to cause a rift between you also. And so really see if you can tune in and listen. Even if the person has a very different viewpoint than you do, they're voting politically very different than what you are, see if you can at least be civil enough, kind enough, and gentle enough to be listening instead of rehearsing. The other thing is that if they finish, you don't have to respond. Like, you can just keep your mouth quiet. You don't have to respond. You can say, "Wow, I hear you. I hear your perspective." And maybe they aren't even listening, don't want to listen to yours. Like, some people just don't. And people who don't are definitely triggered, have definitely triggered fight or flight. the value or whatever it is so intense for them that they've gone into fight or flight, and they will defend themselves at all costs, which is why friendships are being broken right now, is because people are defending their feelings at all costs. We've become a very emotional society. There was no election anxiety for a long, long time. People did not get this whacked out about it. But we're not a very emotionally resilient country anymore. And so that is where I would start. Make sure that you are emotionally resilient. Make sure you're kind enough to listen to your friend without judgment, without, just listen. People are not seen and heard very much today. And that's because when you've triggered fight or flight, you can't see. Your eyes do not see properly, and you can't hear. You're not really hearing. You're rehearsing what you're going to say next. In fact, you can take that one little thing and it can help you so much in relationships in your home, relationships in friendships. So I know these are it's a very hot time, but people have got to become more emotionally resilient, calm, cool, and collected if we're going to solve problems. It's the only way you're going to solve it. You cannot solve a problem when you're in the muck. It just doesn't work. It's just impossible. I've watched it over and over again with organizations, with families. If you're not above the technology of what you're trying to work on, you cannot solve it. So you need to get yourself up out of the muck and be a civilized, mature adult, and model that for your children too. Model that for your children. I really feel for the younger generations seeing how some adults are acting these days. It's really astonishing to me. And I get it, but I really think that we have to put on our big girl pants and big boy pants and really listen to people and not judge and not be so quick to come back, but just put the friendship first. Put the friendship first. And also for me, this particular medium, social media, Facebook, for me, it's like I put on here, of course, this is my business too, but I put on here what I would do if I was sitting down and having coffee with you or tea. If we were having tea together, I'd pull out my pictures and show you what's coming up next. And if I was attending a political rally or if I was doing something political, say, hey, and I'm working with so-and-so. I'll never forget, actually, he turned out to be a rapist in the Kennedy family, but I had to go and have ice cream sundaes with an unnamed Kennedy and another Kennedy because they had come to Concord, New Hampshire. Now, that was crazy. But, it's like I would be sharing just like I would if we were having tea or coffee. That's how I view Facebook. So if you want to talk about a particular subject that might have some, hot buttons involved there, is that something you would talk about over tea or coffee? Or do you have to pick up the phone and actually have a real conversation with someone, or actually meet someone and stand 6 feet apart and actually talk? I think that how you view your Facebook feed and what it is for you is another thing you can assess, because it's easy to say things when you're not actually physically near another person. So that's the same thing with texting. You can text stuff that later you regret because you wouldn't have actually said that in person too. So a lot of little things about communication, but certainly your friendships are important. We need each other. We need each other on either side of the aisle, on any side of issues. I am a person who actually doesn't believe in sides. I believe that there's a whole group of people around the world that does a totally different kind of problem solving. So I don't think there have to be sides, to be honest. I think we've created sides because that's coming way out of the Greco and Roman traditions to create sides and fight about it. But I think there's a better way, and maybe that better way is going to be coming out of what's going on now. But for right now, let's be civil, let's be friendly, let's not lose friends. Really, your friends matter. They really matter. There's so much loneliness today, working with clients, especially with COVID. Some people are working from home and they see no one. they don't see people. So I think our friendships are super important. I would put that above politics, always, and have civil discussions and learn from each other, so that we can find ways to solve problems. Thank you so much. Have a great night. I see Rob is here with me. Thank you for that love, whoever that was. And I really appreciate it. This was a difficult topic for me to even want to talk about. But I understand, and I hope this was helpful. And Rob's a great advice. Thank you. Love it. Love it so much. So wishing you all a great pressure-free night, and I'll see you soon. Bye.